Hello, welcome back to Auto Pop Culture, and today we're going over Weezer's 15th album called OK Human. This album has been requested by a subscriber going named Frank Drebin, shout out to you, who wanted me to review this and see what my thought was on this album. So let's get started in that. So first of all, I haven't really gone into a Weezer album in a while. Like, it's been a while. Like, I think the last album I actually sat back and listened to was Pacific Daydream. I didn't really care for it. I felt like it just was trying to be something that's not really what Weezer is. And due to the fact that they had a shit ton of great albums before then, Weezer, Pinkerton, Green Album, which was the first album that I officially got into before I had to go backwards into Weezer and Pinkerton. And other ones like Red Album too. So I feel like they had a good like rise, and then it feels like they were experimenting, which I feel like that was the downfall of them, my opinion, because there were some ones that hit that was experimental, and some that were just like, this is a little more cringy than needed. So yeah, so because of the cringe though, unfortunately, I took a step back. And as they kept releasing stuff, album after album, especially Teal Album, which was a really good album, a really fun cover album. But then Black Album, which I tried to get into, but I couldn't really pull myself in. So I just pretty much just left it off. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna leave it off. But I did not know they're releasing another album, so this is pretty much their quarantine album, it feels like. Because it talks about a lot about self-esteem and just really, it's very introverted. It's very introspective. It's looking into a lot about himself, a lot about the surroundings and stuff like that. And I think that's really, really nice. And I noticed that there's one thing I do like about each album they present is that there's a slight touch of a different sound production, like just a slight different production, like Weezer album 1994 and Green Album weren't really entirely the same type of vibe, but they, like, of course it's rock, but it's just like there's a little touch of difference in Green Album. So I feel like this is the same thing with this one, where there's a lot more strings into the beginning of the song, and it goes throughout the whole song, and a lot of leaning into that direction, which I really, really like. I love a good pluck of a string. I like a little long draw in a string. It's really nice. So let's get into some of the songs I really like. So starting off with the first song, which is All My Favorite Things, which I really, really like, which is I can completely like relate to. It's pretty much talking about how his confusion and loss of sense of direction when it comes to his contradicting feelings of things. So he'll say, all my favorite songs are slow and sad. And I love parties, but I don't go, then I feel bad for staying at home. And I feel like that's pretty much I feel like I can relate to that. So since I can relate to that, I feel like everybody else has that feeling too, in some way. It's just that battle between wanting to be part of everything, but knowing that you don't really need to. Like, it's a piece of FOMO where it's just like, you don't really want to go to that party. Maybe not that specific party, but maybe that's just saying that maybe your body's telling you it's time to kind of just relax and don't go out, you know? You don't have to go to every single party. Just because you don't go to a party doesn't mean that you're letting somebody down. Like, there's always parties happening at all times, you know? So I do relate to that kind of contradiction of wanting to be alone, but really, but also wanting to be around people. It's kind of a really weird contradiction and finding a middle ground of being whole in that direction. Going to the next one, Aloo Gobi. Really like this one. I really like the whole idea. It's just like he's talking about how, just an ironic take on the idea of just like, oh, we're going on a date with my wife, and we're gonna go to this movie. We're gonna eat this. We're gonna eat that, and we're gonna do this. It all seems to be a repeated thing, you know. And I think that, and then over time, you start seeing him saying, like, okay, maybe I do miss that, because it's not being in the quarantine. You definitely forget to appreciate those type of simple things. Going into another one I liked was Numbers, which is I can completely relate to. I think a lot of people can relate to this one. pretty much talking about a person's like discontent with his inaccuracy or accurate. Oh, I can't talk today. Pretty much his flaws and his way of feeling against other people and judging himself against other people, and numbers being pretty much like the people's likes. How you go to online and they have somebody that has more likes than you, or somebody is being more paid attention than you are, and they're not even doing this, or they could be literally doing the same thing that you're doing, or they could be doing something very, very simple, but some fucking reason they're just liked. Everybody fucking like. I show up my abs. There's like 50 other ab-tastic guys out there, but they're just center stage getting a lot of likes for some reason, you know? And it makes you feel like, it makes you kind of look inwards, like, what's wrong with me? You know, what's going on with me? Why do I feel like that? Why does that affect me so much? I don't know that person. I don't really know what's going on, nor does anybody else really know that person really, you know? If they knew that person personally, would they really give them that much likes, you know? But you can't help but think that maybe it's something wrong with you instead of the other person, or just the idea of social media. He says that in that. He's like, look at him, look at her, they got 1 million likes. Going into the next one that I really like was Bird with a Broken Wing. I felt like this one's a great direction of talking about feeling very insecure, and for him directly, or Kumo feeling very, very like irrelevant and kind of past his prime, which is, I cannot speak for him because I think that he's very, very talented. I think that he will never go away because he has great songwriting, he has a lot of talent and stuff under his belt that he's gained over time. But I can get that with Weezer itself being not as popular as they were in the 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. You definitely can see the decline into their popularity and the people like searching for them. They're still hardcore fans, which is, I love that there's still a good base of them, but nationally, no one's really, like, not no one, but like, it has declined a bit compared to the glory days of the 90s and early 2000s with them. But with him saying that, I think that he also comes to terms with that direction of saying, as much as this is going on, please don't feel bad for me, because this is exactly where I want to be. Because now I feel like I personally think that what he's talking about is that now he's in a space where he can do what he wants to do. Because I think that the downside about having that popularity is that you have to keep up with that popularity, keep up with the trends, and keep up with stuff. And if you don't say anything, they're going to go into you, like, or say anything that's meant something, or say anything that's like catchy or anything, they're gonna go hard on you, like, oh, this sucks, kind of thing. And so I think he's in this space, and I think Weezer is also in that space where it's like, we can do whatever we want now. We have proven ourselves to everybody. We don't need to prove ourselves anymore. We can just be ourselves. It's pretty much the way that I feel about Lady Gaga, which I know that she's still, I know that she's still doing a little bit of like going with the trends, but she never, which is actually, personally, she never does, because she's always ahead of the trends. But I do feel like there's a piece of her that did sell with the whole Fame Monster and the Fame, but I feel like over time now she's like doing her own type of sound, what she wants to do, because she's made a point she's already made her status of showing, like, I am talented, I have words to say, I have great beats, you know what I can do, you know? And I feel like with Weezer, it's even more the fact. They've been doing 15 albums now. They know what they're doing. They know they don't need anything to prove to anybody, and I think that's a great idea to feel. It's valid to feel like you don't matter because of that, of not being in that chase. But I also feel like, I love the fact that he came to terms with it. It's just like, you know what, the upside about this is that I can do what I want now. I can write about what I want to write about, you know? So then going into another one I really like, which is something I didn't really know. I really learned something today. Brea Tar Pits. So I didn't really know this was a thing, but apparently in LA there's a historical landmark where the natural asphalt has seeped up into the ground, seeped up from the ground, and pretty much it's just been doing that for like tens of thousands of years. And he uses this pit as a metaphor for his mortality of how he feels about I don't want to die. There's so much things to live for. There's so many things to do, you know, and I think that he's staying in an upbeat direction. And he talks about the idea that there's bird feathers and bones are inside like the pit because of people that the animals that couldn't get out of it. I need to go see this. I so bad want to see what's going on with this idea because I've never heard of this before. But yeah, so he pretty much talks about that, and he says, it's like I'm sinking into the Brea Tar Pit or Tar Pit, and I don't want to die because there's so much to give, because there's still so much to give. So he's pretty much saying it's kind of like a hopeful direction where it's just like I'm not done yet. There's so much more I want to give. I'm not gonna give up on myself yet, kind of thing. But yeah, all in all, I do like this album. I think that a lot of songs are great to relate to, and it's great to see that he still has the skills of lyric writing and still makes you think about things. I love that. That's one of the things I love about Weezer is that they're fun, but they give you a fun ride while they make you think a little bit too, and also make you kind of relate to feel a little bit to make you feel less alone too. Like especially like Beverly Hills, that's where I want to be. That's where everybody wants to be. You know, it's just like they've always had a good relatable line to them as a band. I really love that for them or about them. Leave a comment below something you thought. If you liked the album, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. I give this album an 8 out of 10. There were some songs I didn't really get, like Dead Roses. I feel like it's about mourning over a death, but it didn't really touch on me it didn't really touch hard enough for me to get it. Grapes of Wrath and Playing on the Piano were beautiful personally to him, but I don't really feel like, for me personally, it kind of felt a little simple of a song. But I also feel like, once again, these are songs that he's doing for what he wants to do, not leaning into what other people are thinking, you know? So I appreciate that. That's pretty much it. Don't forget to like if you like this video, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more of my videos. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Frank, for suggesting this album. I have no regrets. I'm so glad I got into this album, and I'll see you all in the next video.